This is 194th day of the Ukrainian resistance and Media Center Ukraine in Ukrinform. My name is Vasil Samokhvalov and we are in touch with Natalia Humeniuk, head of the United Coordinating Press Center of Security and Defense Forces of the south of Ukraine. Natalia, hello. Natalia, hello. Hi. So, Natalia, the authorities of Ukraine have officially acknowledged the capture of several settlements during the offensive of the Ukrainian troops on the south of Ukraine. Which other official information can you make us happy with? The official is in the same information that we are going on speaking about the information silence mode, which is needed for the work to be finalized. What is taking place now does not suit this leitmotif, for instance, and the today's night UAV flights in Vysokopilla, which has been mentioned so much a lot, confirms that again. It means that the enemy was getting ready to conduct artillery or aviation strikes and wanted to provide reconnaissance of the situation. So we would ask you to have the silent mode and to help the population which was waiting for this liberation. There was the official notification of the Ukrainian authorities that in some of the Russian military units there are real rebels, that people don't want to take part in the war and that their counterintelligence is taking them away. Is it the massive phenomenon among the Russian occupiers? Yes, this is a convincing phenomenon in that sphere, because all of those prisoners of war in our exchange fund say the same, that among the people or among the Russians there is the understanding that there is no perspective in these fights. They are staying, they are restricted logistically, and not only because our work in the logistics centers is efficient, but also because the morale and the ratio and relations with the commandment in these military units is a bit vague and they are demoralized. There was the announcement that we are keeping under fire, in fact, all of the bridges through the Dnieper River. Could you please translate that from the military language into civilian language? Well, as we are now under martial law, we should better learn the military language because this terminology is necessary. We have it under fire control because we do not ruin, we do not destroy our infrastructure, but we do not provide the enemy with the opportunity to use it with its aims. So the hits against the objects were rather obvious not to use these objects anymore. But the occupiers go on doing that, and in spite of them even acknowledging that it's connected with some risks for their lives, they go on sending partially some of the and testing some of the new ways, some of the supplies, risking their lives. They try to deliver heavy armament and ammunition. As the result of that, some of the sections of the bridges were destroyed because they did not stand this load. All of those arteries cannot be used for transportation now. That is why they are creating now ferries and pontoons and barges through the Dnieper River, and we are also having them under fire control, and our reports witness about that, thanks to which you can get to know that 3 pontoon bridges were destroyed. Coming back to the fire control, how is it done? The Russians say that not even HIMARSs are used, but Excalibur, the innovative armament, is used. Is it true? We are using all the armament and weapons we are having to achieve the goals which were appointed by the military commandment. In particular, the counteraction, the work of the air defense, which they are advertising so much, is obviously seen on the videos shown by the local residents. The air defense is also being stricken, and they cannot efficiently counteract. In spite of the situation in the Black Sea, that there are some of the ships with the Calibers missiles, we can still see that the Russians are using S-300 and Onyxes, which are not created for such attacks. Could you please tell why is the Russian missile potential so decreasing so substantially? Well, first of all, since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, Ukraine saw more than 3,500 of missiles attacking us, if I'm not mistaken. And secondly, this arsenal cannot be filled. They don't have such an opportunity. They go on using it and still spending it. So we can see that they are even using those batches of armaments and S-30 missile systems which are not efficient, because we can see that they are already defected. If there are any questions here, I'm ready to answer. So, Ukrinform, my name is Tatiana Shole. I've got several questions. First, do you see, as for now, any activation of the Russian land forces and aviation in the Crimea? Secondly, does the Ukrainian party register the changes in the transfer of the Russians from Crimea to the continental Ukraine? And as for any activation of their actions in the pseudo-referendums at the temporarily occupied territories? Well, first of all, about temporarily occupied Crimea. There we can see the forced activation of the forces, what they are sending and mobilizing into the military units, which hypothetically could be used, because in fact they understand that they will need to bring more reserves, but also they understand that the ways along which those reserves can get to the occupied Kherson region are also under our fire control. So we are following the situation, but we do not panic. And as for the future pseudo-referendum, it's again delaying and delaying, incapability to create commissions, the incapability to collect even fake lists of voters. So this is a huge issue for them still, whether it's reasonable to be done. And also, they are constantly distracted by the events around the contact line. And the last question may be the follow-up question from my colleagues, whether the resistance and guerrilla movement is efficient, because they are dealing with sabotage and intelligence and reconnaissance. How would you assess their work? The work of the resistance work is assessed really highly. We are so grateful, and it's really cool that it is coordinated and communicated with the defense forces, with the armed forces of Ukraine. So we are using in coordination, and this coordination is created to provide peace and order all over the territory of Ukraine for the occupiers not to feel any convenience here. Thank you so much. We were in touch with Natalia Humeniuk, the head of the United Coordinating Press Center of Security and Defense Forces of the South of Ukraine. See you tomorrow.